Noise in the background.
Good afternoon and welcome to Content Chat. I'm your host, Erica Heald, and I'm here today to talk about something a little different, but hey, you've been hearing me talk about my book for the past 2 weeks, so you're probably not going to be at all surprised that, YouTube is something that so many content marketers are a little afraid of. Yeah, we use it to host our archives of our webinars or of our speaking engagements or our executive speaking engagements, but there's a lot more we can be doing with it. And I had the pleasure of meeting Katara Lane about a week ago and getting to watch the replay of a really cool session she did that was tailored towards book authors, but that is going to be just as practical for those of you who are building any kind of a thought leadership platform. So you might be doing public speaking, you might be having your own community, whatever that thing is. I think it's going to be really applicable because also, let's be real, you're going to want to have a book eventually, okay? So with all of that said, join me in giving a warm welcome to Katara. And Katara, could you please take a minute to introduce yourself and tell folks a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Katara Lane. I am a YouTube strategist and a YouTube coach. I started off with sort of like a videography background, so in weddings, helping business owners tell their stories, and eventually I kind of niched down to YouTube specifically with video. So I basically help authors, experts, and business owners be able to attract more opportunities and sell more of their products. So whether that is a book or a service or whatever you're selling, I help you sell more of it through YouTube.
I love that. And I know for me, I have not at all used YouTube to its full advantage. I 100% have used it more as a place to store all of my videos. So I love that because we all know we can be doing more, but I think a lot of times people end up getting stuck in feeling like, it's so overwhelming. I need to be an expert or I need to hire someone. So I'd love it if you could kind of just give an overview of like the things that you hear from people when you ask them, why they have really struggled with YouTube, and kind of, let's do some myth busting because I think that's always a fun way to get started.
You know what's funny? Like literally when you said like I usually just use it as a place to store my, course videos and whatnot, that is literally that is literally what everyone says. Like they're just like, yeah, just or that, and oh, it's just something that my nieces and nephews just watch to watch. What is it, the Rachel lady? I don't know. So those are like the main two things that people say that they use YouTube for. But like I said, like with content, YouTube is one of the best platforms right now to get on to sort of like just get more visibility. And so I believe just like with being on YouTube and seeing the power of it, sometimes it's just literally not us. You know how when you're like posting and you feel like you're talking to crickets? Like it's not us. Sometimes you literally just need more visibility, and people just think that they have to have like these big productions on YouTube and it has to be like perfectly edited, when really people just want you to show up as yourself and they're just looking for information, especially us in the education space, like sharing our knowledge and sharing our expertise. People don't really care for all the flashy stuff. As a matter of fact, I actually had a viral video. It was talking about how people don't want to see that. And it was literally like 500 people agreeing with me. So I always tell that to people when they're like, oh, my video has to be perfect.
I think we also, as content creators, we got a little spoiled how in the early days of the internet and of YouTube, basically, as long as you had a really good show notes, you had your transcript attached, you optimized your listing for SEO, you do those things and you would magically be found. But now there's so much more going on because with the way that AI and AI agents are interacting with your content, you really need to give so much more thought and creativity to your approach for how you package it. And that's what I thought was interesting about your whole approach, which is around using playlists. I cannot tell you how frequently I go to a brand site and I don't see any playlists at all. So you literally are just looking at like whatever the most recent videos are, or worse yet, they have a playlist that's from 6 years ago. That's a completely different brand. And you're just like, I don't understand who these people are or what they do. So I'd love it if you could share with folks kind of what your playlist funnel strategy is, because I think it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's, I'm really happy to be talking to somebody who understands this concept. Of when you first going to someone's page and it's just like random videos. And this goes into something else that I do, which I call sort of like the YouTube sales funnel. So basically mirroring your YouTube page, sort of like a website, so it can be able to sell for you 24/7. But the playlists, it's just basically, you know how when you send out an email sequence and it's just like one after one and they're kind of all related and they're selling something. That's kind of like what a YouTube playlist is. So it's usually like a series of 4 to 5 videos, and it's just basically knocking down the objections that people would have, and just warming them up to be able to buy from you. So YouTube calls this playlist, but like you said, it's becoming so much more important for us to like make ourselves look different with AI and such. So I literally just created a video the other day, and I was comparing like YouTube to like kind of like Disney Plus and Netflix. You know how
Yeah.
Disney Plus is like, well, so they've lost a significant amount of subscribers recently. And Netflix has been kind of sort of like, I saw a subscriber say they were like failing forward, and like they're continuing to sort of like grow their subscribers over time. And it's because Netflix has brought in these original series, these original TV shows, and YouTube kind of has that same effect. So people need to start creating original content and then putting it in sort of like grouping it in sort of like a playlist that people can actually understand. So like keep them one entertained because YouTube is also on our TVs and people are watching it there, but also educating them and like also warming them up to buy.
I love that you mentioned Netflix, because they do a really good job of when you finish watching a movie or a show, they will suggest things to you. And maybe you're like, I don't know, but you rate it and you go back to your homepage. All of a sudden, you have new and exciting categories of things to look through. Like frequently, they'll suggest that I might like this dark, moody, drama with, strong female character. I'm like, oh, you think I might like that? And I love it because sometimes they'll give me a playlist and it's all movies I've seen and loved. And to me, that means that the AI was spot on, that it understood what it is about me that's unique that made me love it. And so, that's the same kind of thing that we need to be doing for our own audiences when it comes to YouTube, so that they're not having to be mining for the little nuggets or trying to guess what we do, but that we actually kind of walk them through getting to know us and getting to know how we can help them do whatever that thing is that only we can help them with.
Yep. So YouTube is essentially literally just doing the same thing, you know? So they're grouping all the videos together. And like you said, they're like recommending other people who might be similar to that video. They're recommending more of your videos. On the end of your videos, there's a feature to where you can literally link your playlist or link your next video that you want people to watch. So you really are your own media company in this day and age.
And I think that's probably part of the problem. I mean, I know, if you're just letting stuff go there automatically, because, like right now, we are automatically on YouTube in the live stream channel. And I'll add this to our playlist for Content Chat after. But right now we're just in, the big void of every time I've gone live on YouTube, and that's, where it is. But when you're done with it, then that's when you have the opportunity to make those linkages within your content and to really build things out. And I think that really links to like, that's how you can start thinking through figuring out, is it that your message isn't landing, or is it that people just aren't even finding it in the first place? So I wonder, like, when you're first talking to somebody who's, new to YouTube, or who's, not so new, but they really haven't gotten traction, how do you figure out if it's their message that isn't landing, or if it's just that they haven't been doing the right things to optimize their channel and playlists?
Yeah, so I find with that, like with those things, what you really need sometimes is like data. So people say that nothing's happening on their YouTube channel, but also they're not very consistent with it. So like they'll post maybe for like 4 weeks in a row and you won't see them again for 5 months later.
Yeah.
So it's not only a visibility thing and a playlist thing, but like you also need data as well. So you have to treat YouTube sort of like other social media platforms, as in like you have to be consistent with it. You do need to, okay, so you can post one video a week to grow your channel, but there are some aspects to where not visibly, but like the quantity of videos that you post, like that would help too if you would post more videos. So sometimes it's that you just really don't have enough data um to get it rolling. And then also, like you said, another thing is sometimes your message is just not landing. So sometimes you're not posting the right videos
Right.
to get more clients, because even though you need like a lot of data to start like seeing things, you don't need a ton of views to actually get opportunities and get clients from YouTube. So it's just like a lot of moving pieces with YouTube that kind of like all work together. And yeah.
So that said, then like, what's the minimum viable, you know, input that you need from somebody who wants to get started on YouTube? Like, is there a minimum amount of videos they need, or specific branding messaging work? Like, what is it that they need to actually get started with putting a solid playlist funnel in place?
Yeah, so I mean, each playlist is only 4 to 5 videos, so you can literally knock that out in 1 month. So each month you're posting these different playlists, seeing, okay, which ones are gaining traction, which one are bringing in the clients, and then over time you just basically refine it.
See, that seems pretty easy. That, 4 to 5 videos, especially because, yeah, something like a content chat is, up to an hour, but a video can be a 3-minute video. So you can spend an afternoon and easily kind of tackle one of the areas. And I like that you had kind of like 3 different areas to your messaging map. So I was hoping you could walk through like how you would kind of think through the things that you'd want to have a, the thinking, feeling, doing. How do you get people to the right place for those videos and what they should be for the first attempt at this?
Yeah, so I mean, so one of the processes that I take my clients through is the messaging map. So the first thing I have them do before they start posting is to figure out who they're actually talking to. So,
Here, here.
so the messaging map, it's more than like an ideal target avatar. That's what we hear like mostly.
Yeah,
It's more of
ICP
like
personas. People are always just trying to do that.
it's more than that. It's like really getting into their head, like their head, and figuring out what they're struggling with. So it's three areas: what they're thinking, feeling, and doing before they come across you. And this is really where it goes beyond, the client avatar, and kind of gets into like their identity. So like for my example, my clients might be thinking like, you know, YouTube requires all of this tech, or, who am I to be seen on video? So they might be having all these thoughts. So like,
So
I need
many
to
people
know.
are afraid of video, even though it's so much easier than other forms.
Yeah, and so that's the before part, and then there's the after part too. So how do you want them to be feeling after you work with them? And so with this messaging map, we can sort of figure out like, okay, in this messaging map, what are some common SEO words that we're seeing? And what are some things that we can talk about? So this messaging map, it kind of, you can use it for multiple different reasons. It doesn't have to be with just YouTube, but it starts off with YouTube, and you just look at that and see where they are, and that's your starting point. A really good starting point, by the way.
So once you've done that, then you take a look at, like, for example, I just wrote my book. So I have my book and I have all the keywords that were associated with the book. Is that where I would start with my keyword research? Would I start with whatever my platform is, whatever my big product is, or what is the right way to find the right keywords to be using for that video content that's going to sell whatever it is that I'm selling?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of authors that I work with, they actually do come with their own keywords. So In that instance, what I recommend is, okay, yes, let's do the messaging map. Let's look at your keywords. We have 15 to 20 keywords that we're starting off with. And let's start from there and see, let's research those 15 to 20 keywords that you have, and let's see what comes up. And if this is something that you actually want to be aligned with. If it's not, we're going to have to go back to the messaging map and sort of like redo that.
Because it's interesting, because I think people will get it in their head that certain keywords are where they want to be. But if you haven't looked on YouTube to see what kind of content is out there for those keywords, you might be really surprised. Because even with things like when you're marketing a book on Amazon, once you actually go and look at the keywords, you can very quickly see, oh, this isn't actually the right category for me at all. It might conceptually feel like it is, but just because that taxonomy works on your own personal site doesn't mean that that's what people who are searching in this particular platform are looking for. So I think that is such a really good recommendation.
Yeah, keywords are different from platform to platform. So your website keywords is, like you said, may not be the same as your Amazon keywords or like your YouTube keywords. Like each platform has its own strategy.
So once you have all that really good foundational stuff in place, then let's talk about the things that are very much YouTube specific when it comes to creating that bingeable series, because there's a very specific style. And I think your channel, you do such a good job of having really engaging title screens, all of that kind of stuff in place. But I'd love to hear you talk through folks, because it's not the same as when you just put a video up on your website. There's some very specific elements that come into play if you want to be found on YouTube and actually stop the scroll when somebody gets recommended your content.
Yeah, so with that, it is basically your title and your thumbnails. That is your packaging. So, and this is like a whole nother thing to sort of like deep dive into. But basically, with your thumbnail, you want to sort of like have a curiosity gap. So you don't want to give everything away in the video. You don't want to be too specific, but also you don't want to be too boring. So with your titles and your thumbnails, you have to sort of like catch their attention. What I've really been studying recently and what I've really been putting into play with my content is identity marketing. So honestly, just using a very simple thumbnail, which is usually just like a screenshot of me talking in the video, and then with the title being oddly specific and talking to like their identity.
Yeah.
So an example of that might be like, instead of like how to get on YouTube in the next 30 days, I'll be like, why the content idea or the title would be instead, why smart women delay posting YouTube videos, like the psychology behind it.
Yeah,
like that would
grabs you, you relate to the person.
Yeah, that would get their attention more than the other one that's like how to, because most people, not all, unless you serve a very beginner audience, but most people, we've seen all the how-to videos and we know all this information, but it's something else that's really holding us back from getting started. So if you can dive into that with your titles and your content, then that might be something that really works in your favor.
I love that. So let's make this practical. Could you maybe give us some examples? And this could either be made up examples of, of like a health and wellness or recipe author or a business marketing kind of author, or it could be anonymous examples of clients you've worked with. Like what would be, like, let's say if we were doing playlists to address that full life cycle, the before they even know you, top of the funnel kind of issue, middle of the funnel or mid-life cycle where they've gotten to know you, they've consumed some content, and then that kind of when you want to be closing the sale, like what is the kind of content that you're looking for in those as you kind of progress through that familiarity and building that relationship?
Yeah, so I use myself as an example. So for some playlists, and it depends on what your goals are for that season. So if your goals are to get more visibility, then you're posting more top of funnel content. So that might look like a how-to video or like, a broad video that goes out to a broad amount of people, right? But then you have your middle of funnel content, the content that's super specific to like that person that's actively looking for content and they need like help now. So like for me, that might be like outsourcing video editing. Like my clients per se, they don't want to edit their videos. They already know they just don't want to do it. So for me
And
to
that's so
post,
important to know what you're not going to do, because that's the biggest thing is, you can have a great plan, and if you're not going to execute it, then it falls apart.
literally, and they're just like, so like if I already know that, then it wouldn't be the best idea to post like all of these video editing tutorials, right?
Yeah.
So my minimal final content would be like outsourcing video editing. And so there's a lot that goes along with that. So I could do a whole series on that, right? And then like bottom of funnel content, that's the content that's like actually going to like convert. So that can be like video sales letters or like, you know, how to these 3 videos are gonna like explode your sales on YouTube or like, pointing them to a workshop or, stuff like that. So it's mean to sell and it's meaning to get like their information and get them off of YouTube.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think, again, once you start thinking things through in the same way, that you have your content strategy, that you always are starting with that business objective and then building up to it. That's exactly the same with how you need to be structuring your YouTube page. And I'll tell you, most of us are not doing that. I'm even guilty of that. Certainly, I am not good about that, but I'm so motivated now because obviously I'm all about no more random acts of content. That's what I've been preaching for years. That's like my foundational stake in the ground. And if you're not looking at your video content in the context of your content strategy, then you're just making a bunch of noise. And how on earth are you going to break through if you're just doing a video here and there when somebody asks you to, which I think happens a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know, and this is something that I think is it's a generalization that I'm going to say applies to most marketing folks I know. And that is, we're in marketing and not in sales because we feel we don't like to hype ourselves up. We don't like to be selling. It feels awkward and weird to be doing that. So what are some examples of some non-cringy sales formats that can still sell? Like, how do you approach selling in your video if you're really uncomfortable with selling?
I always tell this, but I probably wouldn't be the best person to ask any questions about a cringy sales moment because so like the idea that selling is cringy, it comes more from like sort of like a content creator's mindset. When you are in business, you literally have to sell. How else are you going to put food on the table?
Yep.
So it's like it's not something that you have to be. It's not something that you should be shy about. You should like, especially if you are here and you're here for a good reason and you honestly just want to help people. You got to let people know what you have, right? So it's just
Yeah.
like literally just like letting people know what you have. So whether even if it's not on YouTube, sending someone a message that you think might be a good fit for your offer, or on YouTube, that's like leading them to a workshop or, letting them know, like, hey, you can book a call and like mentioning it. I guess if you didn't really want to be set like cringy, you can like mention it like subtly and be like, this is what I do with my clients in my program and like mention it a few times in the video. But at the end of the day, you still have to like tell people where to go and be like,
Yeah.
listen, I have a website, I have a call that you can book, I have this workshop. If you're interested in it, join it. And there's actually like 8 different ways that you can promote on YouTube. So you can, I guess, do it in more subtle ways. But
Because you can
yeah,
have it in your end screen, you can have it in the actual copy that goes with the video. You can do it in whatever way like feels okay to you.
yes. But the main, like, it is video. So you do have to remind people sometimes to take
Yeah.
action. So you just have to strengthen your sales muscle.
And don't start by saying, "Hey guys, what's up?" I just say that because I'm a gamer, and I swear that's the one thing that then you stop listening. So remember that, try to be yourself, be authentic when you're going in there with it too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, but as business owners, we don't have to be like YouTubers and like the gamers or like the people who probably aren't there to sell anything. We don't have to necessarily be like them. We don't have to pretend like we're like super happy all the time. Just show up as yourself. Literally, it will take you so much more farther.
Could not agree more. So what I was thinking as we were talking about this is I'm like, on my website, of course, I have areas on the website that talk about what I do and who I work best with. I don't have any video content about that. So that's an obvious gap that I have. And it's such the like obvious thing to do is for the areas I cover, like content governance, having a content governance playlist that has all of those different segments covered. The beginning, what is it? Why should we care? How it really moves things forward, and what I do to help you in next steps of, from the free to the consulting, how I can help people out. That's just like such the obvious example to me of putting what you're talking about into really good practice there. Now, for me, I'm a consultant. I've been doing this a long time. I do speaking, and this is my first book, but there are a lot of other folks who creating books or courses, having services or courses, that's something they're not there yet. They just have a book, and that's something that they are really passionate about. Like maybe they have a full-time job, and the book is their like first stake in the ground because they want to start that business. They want to be known for something. How do you build a funnel that still works when literally the only thing you have to sell is just that physical book? Can you actually do that through YouTube?
Yeah, so that's what you do. Your book is your lead magnet, technically. So you start with the book, right? But here's the thing. Eventually people are going to start reaching out to you. They're going to start emailing you. They're going to start commenting like, hey, do you help besides the book? Or like, in what ways can I work with you? Like eventually there's going to be a time where people are just going to want more. And then when you start seeing people rolling in, emailing you, asking you questions, that is then when you start creating new offers for people. So a lot of people do is they typically create like their services, or like they'll create like their digital products, but they'll do it too often, and like they'll try to sell it and they're like, why is nobody buying? It's because you don't have any traffic and nobody asks for it. So once you build the audience, selling those additional things becomes much more easier.
No, that totally makes sense to me. And I know fiction is not something I do, but I have a number of friends who've been taking advantage of maybe a little bit slower time in the business at the end of the year to do things like write fiction. So is fiction similar, or is it different when you're trying to get out there? Like, do you need to be doing different kind of content if it's fiction and not nonfiction?
Yeah, so like fiction, it's kind of the same as like kind of like a content creator. So, and that's the thing too. I've been like trying to figure out, like, cause I work with a lot of nonfiction authors, but I've been also like trying to figure out like, okay, because of course some fiction authors might come to me as well.
Yeah.
Like, how do I help the fiction authors? And their strategy is like completely different than a nonfiction. Because of course you don't, like, other than your fiction book, like it's not based off of you.
Right.
So you might have to get a little creative with your YouTube strategy if you're like a fiction author. So whether that's like giving more behind the scenes of the authors, or like, I don't know, creating a channel that's kind of related to the fiction, whatever the fiction topic is, and then having that be something that you can sell. So like, for example, this is not nonfiction, but I know someone, she has like a bird channel. So she takes pictures of birds as a hobby. So she'll sell like coloring books and all types of other stuff. So you have to get like really creative with it, but there is a way.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because in my situation, the book comes at a stage where I've been doing content chat for 10 years now. Started as a Twitter chat, and we're celebrating 10 years of me being the host. It predates me. I took it over from other folks, but I have a lot of history. So I have a personal brand channel, and I'm going to create my content foundations channel and other topical channels, which works for me. But I'm wondering, for other people who are primarily authors who have multiple books, is there a point where they need to move beyond creating different playlists for those books? Like, is there a point when they should be splitting out multiple channels? Is there any benefit?
Oh, depending on like what it is. So like if you have your non-fiction books and then you have like your fiction books, that might be like two different audience.
Yeah.
Most nonfiction books you can get away with selling them all on one channel. But this is why you have like multiple playlists. You don't talk about the same thing in every playlist. And this is why you also start a personal brand channel and not a specific book channel. Because if you have a personal brand channel, you can talk about whatever you want. And if those people if they're loyal to you, they'll continue to like listen to what you have to say and they'll continue to buy from you. So you don't have to necessarily create new channels for every single book that you create. This is also why you get their information off of the platform. So you're not specifically relying on YouTube, but like you have an email list that when you have this book, you're emailing them and you're pre-launching to them and you're letting them know that it's coming. um so yeah.
I love that. And that's why it's important to have those calls to action related to whatever it is that you're doing. So you're getting them to sign up for a workshop, or you're getting them to, to download something or to subscribe in order to get free templates, like whatever it is that you can do. It's such a good reminder that you want to get them to connect with you outside of the channel, because you don't own that channel. And while, it's useful, what if you get locked out of that channel and you don't have any way to talk to the folks that subscribe to you directly unless they come to YouTube, unless you have been doing that?
Yeah, exactly. So selling all the time doesn't have to be about selling something directly. I count a lead as a sell.
Yeah,
So a lead, downloading a lead magnet or getting on a wait list, that's still a sell. You can still count that as a sell. So even if you're starting with just like
they're
promoting,
opting into you. They're opting into you and to giving you the opportunity to build that relationship.
yep. And then you own once you build the list, you own that. You don't own, I mean, you own your YouTube channel, but they can take that away at any point. You own
Mhm.
your email list. Like recently, I just took my email list and I just threw it in a Substack. So I was like, why not? So like you can do whatever you want with the email list when you have it, you know?
Exactly. And I know I did a pre-order for the book to my email list, and I also, in addition to having Ingram and Amazon distribution for my book, I'm also doing direct sales on my website, because every time I do a direct sale, then I'm actually getting the person's name and address. So that way I can drop in a little, thank you card, or, send them an email with a special resource and a note. And you can't do that if you're just selling through third parties that don't share the data with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, conservatively speaking, what amount of time do you think somebody should be devoting to working on their YouTube channel if they are a thought leader who wants to build, make an impact? Like a couple hours a week, 5 hours a week? Like how much time should we be setting aside on our calendar if we actually want to move the needle here?
And of course, it's going to look a little different than everybody else, but I say it's about 2 to 5 hours, depending on how good you are at staying focused and getting it out. I think that's a lot of people, they don't stay focused on the task at hand. We're kind of like, scattered brain. I'm bad at this too, like very scattered brain. I'll move from task to task to task. But when you sit down and you actually, do the task, you find out it takes literally 2 hours. So whether this looks like batching your content and just scripting first and then recording and then editing and having these things be on different days, or whether that just looks like you just, I don't know, scripting out something and recording it in one day and then just going on about your business. But really, there needs to be like a system involved, and it takes about 2 to 5 hours a week.
I'm, of course, all about documenting that workflow and creating those reusable templates, because otherwise you make it so hard on yourself. Like, don't try to remember what all the information is that you need every time you upload your YouTube videos. Just have that as a template that you fill out. People get to be so resistant to creating a process for themselves, but you just figure out what works for you, and you don't hold all that in your head. Once you figured it out, just document it and walk yourself through it. That's how you get down to that 2 hour a week kind of a workflow.
Yeah, yeah. And, it's going to change over time. So, if that doesn't work for you in the season that you're in, you could always change it. Like, literally, I just changed my sort of like content sort of like workflow around, and it's been a little hiccupy, but again, I'm getting back into the groove and getting faster at it again. So it's all about creating something that works for you.
Exactly. And I think that's just people feel like, oh, but if I create a template or I document my workflow, then it's set in stone. No, it isn't. It's an editable document. You can go in and change it at any time. And you better be, because you're going to be learning stuff as you go. And so it just always cracks me up. It's like, to me, it's such an accelerator. Let me think here. So I don't have this problem, but I've worked with lots of people in the past who absolutely hate to see themselves on video. They don't like engaging with other people on video. It makes them uncomfortable, and that they will say with a huffy voice, they'll say, and that is why I became a writer. So when you have people who their primary favorite kind of platform is writing, or even it's in-person events, like what can you do for them, or what can they do on the channel that isn't necessarily them talking to make themselves feel, less self-conscious? Like, is there anything you can do for those folks that can still convert, that isn't, all about themselves and putting themselves out there on video, which, if you feel like you don't want to be vulnerable and what have you, video can be scary.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, you kind of just want to have to get over it. Like, I mean, but writers, if you're not on video, you're really missing out on a really good opportunity. Like, seriously though, the best writers are oftentimes also the best speakers, because you can clearly articulate your thoughts. You're like halfway there. So it's just like making a process for yourself. Like, you're making a process for yourself to sort of like dip your toes in the water and just kind of like gradually go from there. I mean, for me, I don't like, if you say you don't want to get on video and that's your main thing, then, and there's a lot of mindset work that's involved with getting on video. So if you're truly not ready for that, then honestly, I'm not going to argue with you. But
you're not going to suggest that they get an AI avatar and make it read. I hate it when I see videos
I don't like those
are so clearly the AI voice. I'm like bummed. I'm so bummed.
It's like, if you're going to build a personal brand, then it's a personal brand. If you want to do a shortcut, I don't know. I'm not the person for that. But yeah, if you're a writer, you're literally halfway there. All you have to do is learn how to show up on video, because most of these people that write these books, and they're writers and they're speaking, they want to build legacy. Like, that's the whole point of them writing their books. I mean, if you don't want to be like, I guess, visible, but like, I don't know. If you were going to write a book, like, what was the point of writing the book if you're not going to promote it? Like, it's probably your absolute hardest. Like,
that's right. And my advice is, if you have a hard time dealing with, looking at yourself on video, that's when it means you need to hire somebody to edit your videos, because that way you can, you've filled out your template, so you're clear on what your objectives are, who you're trying to reach, and then you can rely on someone else who is not you to edit for you. So that way you're not the one who has to go in there and see something you said and then beat yourself up about it and not finish the editing process.
Yep. And then, like, because some people, they literally won't record the video, so they won't even get to like the editing part. But like, sometimes we want to get on video, we just say that we don't. So it's really some mindset work involved that needs to happen with that. So whether you need to hire a coach or you need to go to therapy, so because some people really need to go to like therapy to get over these things. I know some of these things like popped up for me in therapy, where like I was scared to be visible, or like, there was like a mindset block there that was happening, where I was like, oh my gosh, like, what's gonna happen if someone says something, or like, it's like there's
waiting for an invitation for someone to ask you to talk about it, to invite you to do it. But if you want to be an expert in an area and you want to share what you know with people, you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, or it's like, what if I'm being annoying to people? Like, it's really a lot of mindset work. Yeah, it's mindset work that's involved with it as well. So you might have to, roll your sleeves up,
Totally. So from a technical standpoint, what is a well-optimized video in today's YouTube market? Like, what is the work that people need to be going into and doing and thinking about if they want videos in the playlist to land?
So there's a few things, there's the packaging of it. So it's like the title and the thumbnail. There's the SEO, and then there's like the actual content. So as long as you have, can test out things with those 4 areas and just optimize it as you go. Really, my whole thing is I just think people should just get started, right? So all of these things are great, but literally just getting started and just starting to record your videos, getting it up there, that's really going to be like a lot of the strategy. So just getting up there and starting recording and just posting your videos.
What do you feel, or how do you feel about using tools like Canva for creating some of the visuals? Is that something that you recommend, or like what kind of tools for people who are like, I don't even know how to start? Because most people are not going to necessarily have professional image editing tools.
Yeah, I love Canva. I use Canva for a lot of things in my YouTube. So I use Canva for thumbnails. I use Canva to create graphics to put in my videos sometimes. I use Canva to like record whiteboard videos. So I have a video on my channel that goes over all the different ways that I use Canva for YouTube.
Oh my God, I need the link. I'll link to it in the recap for this.
But yeah, you can use Canva. A tool that I've really been enjoying recently for like my all-in-one production for YouTube is like Riverside. It's a podcast recording app technically, but on there you can record your videos to the cloud, so it's not downloading to your computer, taking up all your space. Yeah. You can edit it like by the words, like the script, so it's really cool. They'll make your reels for you and repurpose it for you. So, and it's like $25 a month, which is less than StreamYard.
So, yeah.
It's awesome. So that's what I've been using recently as a sort of like my on-the-go recording studio. But yeah, you could also just use your phone or your laptop, if you don't want to get Riverside.
Yeah. And the thing is with all of these tools, they frequently, there's free ways that you can do this. Even with Canva, there's free ways that you can do things. But if you are going to be serious about this and you do have that well-defined personal brand, that's when it makes sense to pay for the pro version, where you can actually have your brand templates and your colors and all that stuff that you've specified right there, so that no matter what you're using for a template to start from, that you're being able to personalize it and make it look like it's coming from you. I'm such a huge Canva fan too.
Yeah, I love Canva for like a lot of different things. It's awesome.
So I know people get really hung up on likes and subscribers, but there's more to YouTube than just likes and subscribers. So I'd love it if you could kind of share, when you're thinking through from that conversion standpoint, what should people actually be tracking and looking at beyond just those two pretty basic analytics.
So with the playlist, one analytic that you could be focusing on is returning viewers. So you're doing these playlists, but are they bringing people back? Another analytic that's really good is your click-through rate. Yeah. Your click-through rate is going to show you whether your title and your thumbnail are actually landing, and sometimes click-through rate can be a good indicator, but also sometimes we do videos on topics that don't have a big market. So YouTube won't push that out a lot if there's not a lot of people to push it out to. But then also sometimes it has a huge market for it. So YouTube just goes bonkers and pushes it out to everybody. And then our click-through rate is low. So just like that is a good thing to look at. And once you get a baseline for where your click-through rate usually is, when it's above that or when it's significantly below that, you can start like studying it and being like, okay, why?
Yeah, because it's funny because sometimes clients will post something that's like a random video. It's not on strategy and it takes off. And then, of course, for the next several months, then they're complaining about why are analytics so terrible on YouTube? Because, of course, they didn't sustain that momentum. So what do you do when you have a video that starts to take off in order to capitalize on that traffic? but not to derail your whole channel, because maybe that video, in best case scenario, maybe it's completely right where you need to be right now to move people through your funnel. But what if it isn't? Like, how do you take advantage of it without then blowing up your whole channel and making yourself feel miserable for the rest of your life as you look at the curve not going up and to the right?
Nah, this is one of my favorite topics is viral videos because I've had quite a few. And that's why it's good to like kind of like not have talking about separate things and all these different things on your YouTube channel and kind of keeping it focused. So some people say not to have a niche, but this is the reason why having a niche is a good video or a good idea rather, because when a video does go off, it doesn't impact your channel. But if you do feel like the video is impacting your channel and it's taking off and it's literally has a life of your own, what I would recommend for you to do is either delete it or unlist it. I had a video and I felt like at one point it was just taking up all the views on my channel. I'm like, every week that was the main video that's being pushed out. And I'm like, I feel like YouTube needs to like push some of my other more recent videos.
Right.
So I didn't want to delete it just yet. I'm like, okay, I'll unlist it. And when I unlisted it, when you unlist it, YouTube takes away the views from your channel, like total views that you have when you look at your description. And what it does is it, kind of has to find a new audience. So when I did that, the other videos that I was posting, newer videos, they actually did start getting more views. And then when I was ready, I brought the video back because it was a video that I'm pretty known for. So I did bring it back. It's there again. But now it's not taking up all the views on my channel. And all of my other videos are getting pushed out now.
So unless any links that you've left to it are still valid or any place you've embedded it, but it takes it out of that algorithm for being actually promoted.
Yes, exactly. Now, if it's like a video that has nothing to do with what you're doing, you could just delete it. But if it's a video that does kind of have something to do with what you're doing, but you don't want to quite delete it, you can just unlist it.
Totally. Now, one of the other things that I think happens a lot is people create video content and then they don't do anything else with it. I personally, every time that we do content chat, we have a recap post and we share the full transcript. We share we embed the video and we have, highlights from it. And that's just something that I regularly do. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on some other ways to take that video content and give it, longer legs with the rest of the marketing efforts that you're doing.
Oh yeah, there's 10 million ways you can repurpose a YouTube video. You can create a newsletter from it. And I have I have 2 playlists on my channel that goes over how you can repurpose it. But you can turn that YouTube video into a blog. You can take the scripts from that YouTube video and put it in an AI and create like carousel posts or other types of posts. Use the transcript for captions. There's endless ways to repurpose your video. So that's why I actually recommend YouTube first and then coming down from there.
I agree with that. It's the same as if you are doing a presentation, you start with that presentation recording and then you break it out into all the different kinds of content you want to repurpose. I know there are folks who like to try to do things the other way, like start by doing a blog post, for example, and doing 50 blog posts and turning them into a book. But personally, I like to, you start by eating the frog. I like to start with the hard thing first and then actually breaking it down into the other parts. That actually feels easier to me than going the other way around.
Yes, creating short form content and then creating a long form video. That's kind of like working backwards. So if you are looking to like take YouTube seriously, start there first and then repurposing down. And then actually when you do that, your messaging across platforms is like the same because you're like getting it from like the one source, So that helps with like continuity, like, it's the same everywhere.
Totally. So we've mostly been talking about authors of books and people whose primary channel is that kind of thing, is a written channel. But what if somebody's primary channel is doing courses? There are a lot of folks whose business has shifted to online courses being what they're doing, or doing webinars. So doing things that's really about selling those one-on-one, one-to-many, but more personal kind of video interactions. How does YouTube then kind of like plug into or play nicely with that other channel that's your paid channel, but that's also video?
Yeah, so webinars and courses, what you do is you create YouTube content and you lead people to there. And with like the lead magnets and stuff like that, that's like, how you get the people's information up because it's like something valuable. So if you want to dive deeper into this, I have a whole course about it. Or if you want to know what's coming up next for 2026, I'm doing a workshop on it. So that's how you start getting people off of the platform and making sales. That's more like a bottom of funnel thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost out of time. So I want to ask you for some sage advice. So if you are somebody out there who, really knows that YouTube needs to be part of your content strategy for becoming known, like what is like the biggest mind shift that you have to make in order to be able to really take advantage of YouTube? Because people have, again, YouTube and Reddit are probably the two channels that people have the most excuses and reasons why they just shouldn't do it, even though their ideal audiences are 100% there every single day looking at content.
Yeah, the mindset shift that you have to get. I feel like this answer is different nowadays than what it used to be for me. I feel like actually nowadays you have to take on sort of like a content creator's like identity. So, in the sense of being visible, you have to have the mindset that you are a media company. So, people want to hear from you. You are in a competitive space right now. So, you just have to take it a little bit more seriously if you're ready to get on YouTube and have that mindset that, yeah, I'm a media company. So I have to distribute content. That's essentially the mindset that you'll have to have going
Yeah.
forward.
Because like if somebody is creating a movie, they're not then going out and building a movie theater to show the movie in. They are creating that content and then they're working with distributors. And I think that's the way to think about things like YouTube is another place to distribute your content. So I think once you stop feeling like it's this scary thing and you just start realizing it's just another part of your strategy and you just have to do the homework. And I mean, your channel has done a lot of the homework for folks, helping people understand, what makes it different and how to really approach it when you're not a video native, when video is something that you're just figuring out, but that is a primary way to reach your audience. So I love that. And I love you for coming here today and sharing so much, because I think this will help folks. I know I have my list of things I'm already going to do this coming week because of our conversation. But for people who aren't me, what would you tell them, if they're going to do just 2 things this week to like make their YouTube page to set it up for success? What would be the like 2 easiest lifts?
Yeah. 2 of the easiest things is to make sure your links are relevant on your YouTube channel. And also, if you have old YouTube videos on there, separate them into playlists and update your homepage.
I love it. That's some good homework, and I think we all should do that.
I think you said new. Did you say new? I just answered for existing.
Oh, either. I mean, somebody who really they knew about getting serious about it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
That really works. Well, if folks love what they're hearing today, where should they be looking for you?
Yeah, so you can find me at Katera Lane on mostly all platforms. So you can find me here on LinkedIn, or you can find me on YouTube. So CATARALANE.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being our guest. And everybody, we'll catch you again next week. Bye, guys.